We're an island nation, drawn to the sea that surrounds us. For many, it's a playground. For others, it's where we earn our living. But the sea's unpredictable. It can change in an instant. And when accidents happen, they happen very fast.
The sea is a dangerous place. If you don't respect the sea will bite you.
There to save our lives is a volunteer army of nearly 5,000 ordinary people, ready to leave their jobs, their families, to race to our rescue.
It makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, to know that if it wasn't for you, that person wouldn't be here.
They rescued me, but they also saved a mum, a daughter, a sister, a wife.
Oh my God.
To see someone disappear under the water right in front of you is brutal. It's absolutely horrendous.
Equipped with their own cameras,
My light flashing. Yeah, it's mine.
the crews give us a unique insight into every call-out as only they see it.
Right, there's another little wave.
Speeding through the roughest weather, searching for people who may only have moments to live.
Can you still hear me?
For those who risk their lives, it has become a way of life.
When those pagers go off, it's life and death.
The resort town of Salcombe lies within the South Devon area of outstanding natural beauty. Its sheltered harbour and crystal clear waters ensure the region is inundated with holidaymakers keen to make the most of their summer break.
Salcombe revolves around tourism now. We can swell from 2,000 in the winter to about 30,000 in the summer.
We all rely on tourism. Without tourism, we'd be unemployed and probably wouldn't live here.
Here on Devon's most southerly point, the coastline is also renowned for its dramatic tides. And the fierce winds that batter the shore, even in summer, can take the most experienced seafarer by surprise. In 2012, on an apparently calm August day, the Salcombe crew were called to one of their trickiest rescues ever.
When the pager went off, we were just finishing work. The weather was clear, so there was no rain, but there was a drop of wind.
4 miles along the coast in Sawmill Cove, a surfer has been reported in trouble.
You're already on high alert. You've got a person in the water, they could be injured, they could have swallowed water, so speed's of the essence, really. Once we're outside the harbour, it goes from the nice calm water into the slightly rougher stuff.
Sort of turned the corner to the west. We sort of realised that maybe, yeah, the weather conditions are a bit worse than what we'd thought.
At the helm of the inshore lifeboat, Sam soon finds himself heading into a southerly force 6 wind and a 3-metre swell.
It was quite lively and quite challenging to helm the boat, with a bit of panic at such speed through that weather. And then when we got to the bay with the shallow water, that's when it got particularly rough.
10 minutes after launch, the crew reach Sawmill Cove. On the edge of the bay, a man is being thrown around by 6-metre waves. With each surge, he's being pushed closer towards a wall of sharp rocks. Among the crowd on the beach, the man's wife has been watching in horror.
It was quite a nice, sunny day. There was quite a lot of people in the water. It really didn't look like a dangerous situation. One of their friends came over and said, "Oh, Claire, do you think Pete's all right?"
Pete was surfing when he was overturned by unexpectedly strong waves and dragged into a rip current running along the edge of the bay.
It was like a thing from a horror movie. I saw him get tossed around quite a few times close to the rocks. It was like he was in a washing machine. When the RNLI boat arrived, I can just remember feeling such, I suppose, elation. I just thought, oh, the professionals are here. They know what they're doing. They're used to doing this. It's going to be fine.
As Sam and his volunteer crew of 2 reach the mouth of the bay, The conditions they see inside are treacherous. As helm, it's Sam's responsibility to weigh up the safety of his team against the safety of the struggling surfer.
The conditions were a bit challenging, and it was just set after set of breaking waves.
The surfer was getting pushed up against the rocks, so it wasn't only a risk of drowning, it was obviously a potential head injury.
He was in breaking swell, very close to rocks, so he was in a lot of danger.
They tried to come into the bay and got pushed back out and tried, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. It was terrifying. I don't think I've ever been that frightened or scared.
We are running in a small boat, 7.5 metres long, so the waves could swamp us, flip us over, anything like that.
Ultimately, you've got to survive yourself, so you're not going to put yourself in too much danger that you can't rescue him, because dead lifeboatman's a useless lifeboatman. You and your crew on that boat, you're looking at him, but you are always thinking about how you're going to get out of that situation as well.
The crew get within 2 meters of the casualty and try to throw him a line. But he's become tangled in the leash attached to his board and can't catch it. Close to exhaustion, he keeps disappearing under bigger waves.
He'd been in the water for quite a while. He'd hit the rocks a few times. He was tangled, he'd inhaled a bit of water, so yeah, we couldn't communicate with him. I don't know what's going through his head, but he must have been having some pretty bad thoughts.
Slowly it started to dawn on me that actually the conditions now were so bad they couldn't get in to save him despite their very best attempts.
But after failing with a line, Sam decides to try a different approach. Now he wants to go in even closer to try to pull Pete out of the water by hand. It's an incredibly dangerous maneuver.
If you come in forwards to it with a breaking swell behind you, you'll surf just like a surfboard and you'll end up on the rocks or the beach. So I had to come in backwards under control. We're very close to rocks. We had a live person in the water, and we have 2 engines with spinning propellers, so there's always the risk that the boat gets pulled back on a wave and it could end up on top of him. It was a big challenge keeping the boat away from him and safe whilst getting close enough to rescue him. Eventually, we'd manoeuvred the boat into a position where we could actually get close to him without the risk of the waves crashing over us. It was just timing, really. As one wave had gone through, then we can move across, grab the guy and physically pull him onto the boat.
I guess they put their own lives at risk, actually. They just made one more effort and pushed to get the boat in.
But the crew are not out of the cove yet. The casualty needs urgent medical attention, but it's not safe to bring him ashore here. The only option is to take him to Salcombe back through the waves.
We've just got this guy on board, you're thinking about getting him home, and as we're coming out, bang, this big wall of water hit him.
As I looked to the sea, I saw the boat, and I just thought the whole boat was going to tip then and that a lot of them were going to end up in the water.
It is like a fairground ride. Within milliseconds, you've gone from level to vertical. It was quite scary, it was. I think I apologised, because we hit this thing and they weren't. The guys were dealing with the casualty on the back of the lifeboat. I think one of them actually grabbed hold of him to stop him shooting out the back. Yeah, it could have gone wrong there, it could have.
The lucky surfer was 54-year-old IT consultant Pete.
It was like a cauldron in the cove there. I guess I was caught at some kind of rip current. I wasn't in a panic state, but yeah, I was definitely worried. I knew I was in a very dangerous situation, and I thought, it crossed my mind I might not get out of this.
If we hadn't got to him when we did, there's every chance he would have hit the rocks or ended up in deeper water, and he would have drowned.
My feelings about the whole thing is a kind of deep embarrassment about getting myself into that situation. I felt guilty about, you know, them having to risk their lives to save me.
I think probably both Pete and I feel how lucky we are, and that there are amazing people out there who give up their time as volunteers to do incredibly dangerous things to help save lives. And they certainly did on this occasion.
Once a small fishing village, the arrival of royalty and the railway transformed Brighton beyond recognition. Now the city's one of the UK's biggest tourist resorts. Last year, almost 8 million day trippers poured into the city, the vast majority in search of seaside fun.
A lot of people come down to have a good time on the beach, have a few drinks and have a barbie on the beach. I think that's quite normal, but it's the point where people go beyond that and put themselves in danger, and the fun then becomes a problem.
Since 1825, Brighton lifeboat crews have been saving fishermen and fun seekers alike. For trainee Helm Jade, it's in her blood.
My dad was on the lifeboat for most of my childhood. Basically, I think we just went down there for the biscuits to start with, but then it got more and more interesting.
Jade joined the team as an apprentice when she was just 16. She's now a fully fledged member of the crew.
It is like a second home, a second family. They have really helped me through the tough times and the good times as well. We're from all different walks of life, so some people you'd never meet in a million years, and that's what I love about it.
Jade's dad is now responsible for the daily running of the Brighton station. And just to keep it in the family, boyfriend Dan is part of the crew too.
Dan and I met on the lifeboat. We've been together on and off for about 7 years now. Yeah, big orange boat brought us together, I guess. It hasn't really torn us apart yet.
When that pager goes off,
Completely
we're not a couple
different.
anymore. We're not boyfriend and girlfriend. We're crew, and you've got to leave all that at the station before you go out on the boat. That all gets left behind. Jade gets no special treatment from me. In fact, she gets more grief probably.
It's funny when we both run out of a restaurant though when our pager goes off.
Yeah, there's no one left to pay the bill, sadly.
Following in the wake of her dad and boyfriend, Jade's now seeking to make history on the Brighton boat.
So if I get through the training, I'd be the first female helm at Brighton. It's definitely a challenge. I'm enjoying the challenge, and it's nice to be able to see like pathway my dad took, the pathway Dan took, that I'm like following in those footsteps.
The Brighton crew are called out around 70 times a year, and when the pager goes off, whatever else they're doing comes to a stop.
I was sitting in the curry house with my brother and my dad as it was the night before Father's Day. I flung my purse to my brother, said pay with whatever card's in there and come and meet us down the lifeboat station.
A warm Saturday evening in June. The crew are used to responding to reports of people in the water. But as the first information comes through, it's clear this is no ordinary shout. They've been called to 2 young men who've jumped off the nearby pier. Tombstoning.
Tombstoning is where people jump off of an object like a groin or the pier from a height into the sea.
Tombstoning is a deadly craze known to all too many lifeboat crews around the coast.
It's not a very safe activity to be doing. You don't know the depth of the water, it's quite deceiving. You don't know what's under there, especially around the pier. There might be submerged objects that you don't know about. It's a dangerous activity.
It's normally a life-threatening situation, and we have to act as fast as possible.
It's been estimated there have been 20 tombstoning fatalities in the UK since 2005. At low tide, the drop from Brighton Pier to the water below is around 12 metres. The two men have chosen the worst possible time for their dangerous stunt.
When he jumped off, we didn't know if he bent his legs and landed safely or he kept his legs straight, if he landed on his front or his back when he entered the water. Is he going to be under the water? Is he going to still be clinging onto the steps?
We are probably going to someone who's got a spinal injury and a potential drowning.
The pier's only 5 minutes away. The crew spot security guards and a young man standing on metal steps. At the bottom is the casualty, barely clinging on.
His head was drooped down. We shouted at him to see if he was okay. We weren't getting much response. All we could hear was his friends shouting at him.
He was quite aggressive towards the staff on the pier and also to ourselves as well. He was just shouting over us and making it difficult to give commands to the casualties in the water. It adds an extra pressure to it, definitely, and an extra challenge.
The casualty's already been in the water for 20 minutes. Blocking out the barracking of the man on the steps, the crew still need to work out what injuries the casualty may have.
You have so much going through your head of what to treat him for, and I just said to the boys, right, we've just got to treat him for spinal, worst case scenario, and if it isn't, then at least we've prepared ourselves for that, so if it is that, then he's got the best chance of survival.
He didn't look to be in a very good way. He looked cold and without the strength to be able to pull himself out of the water. So that was at that point that Jade entered the water to go and assist him.
As Jade reaches out through the heaving swell, suddenly the casualty lets go.
He went under about a foot or two. He was definitely in a life-threatening situation. If we hadn't got there in time, he would have gone under the water and taken in water and potentially drowned.
It's quite a scary thought when he just let go, because you're thinking, oh my gosh, I've got a guy that's twice the size of me in my arms, he's lost all the energy. And you're thinking, oh my God, I've got someone's life literally in my hands here. I've got to get him to the lifeboat. Just used all my strength I had to pull him up and move him across the lifeboat.
The crew still have no idea what injuries the casualty has sustained in hitting the water. But as he's drifting in and out of consciousness, the priority is to get him onto the boat.
Him losing consciousness kind of makes it a bit more straightforward. It does mean you can just focus on, right, we need to get him onto the boat and we need to make sure that he's breathing on his own accord and we don't lose him underwater.
Our priority is to get them out of the water so they don't drown. Simple as that. If that person has a spinal injury, obviously we would like to get them out as carefully as possible, but it's life over limb.
1, 2, 3, 4. I'm taking him back to the marina. No problem, mate. We've got an ambulance to pick him out.
He was obviously intoxicated. You could smell it and you could see it from the slurring words. He was very cold. Hypothermia had set in at this point.
He'd belly flopped into the sea, was complaining of chest pains. We can't internally examine the guy. We're not paramedics, we're a lifeboat crew, so we just wanted to get him back to professional assistance as soon as possible.
An ambulance is already waiting back at the lifeboat station.
People definitely underestimate the sea when they're drunk. They lose that key sort of judgment of saying no and not making those decisions that later on you probably regret.
I don't know how I felt. It's quite a mixed emotions because you've saved someone's life, in essence, but you also want to go, why did you do that? Why did you jump off the pier?
Despite the initial concerns for his condition, the Brighton tombstoner was discharged from hospital the following day.
I think that gentleman was particularly lucky, yeah. He could have paralysed himself jumping off the pier quite easily. Yeah, it's strange. It's strange going back to our everyday life after something like that.
Last year, the 3 summer months accounted for almost half of the RNLI's call-out. And lifeboat crews and lifeguards round our coastline have their own name for those days when the great British public heads out for a bit of summer fun.
Silly season, you mention it, any crew around the country will know what you're talking about immediately. The time when everyone flocks to the beaches and does things which you just look back on and think, why are you doing that?
That's your problem?
Yeah, I can imagine.
We always call it a balmy Friday when all the officers are coming out on a Friday night. They're all having a drink before they go home. Some of them are just as innocently as sitting on the wall and lose their balance and fall in backwards into the water. To people think that they're superhumans and they're going to swim the River Thames.
OK, in you come, fella.
Some of the people that come down to the beaches don't understand that if you buy an inflatable dinghy, you should buy oars with it, and they buy spades with them, and they think, yeah, these will get me back to the shore, and you're thinking, no, they really won't.
Hey, old fella, what are you doing out here?
Why do people not understand these things?
How are you planning on getting back, like? Paddle back? We paddle back?
Here we have small rubber rings, dinghies, and the amounts of small children that we have to go out and rescue in one summer it's quite shocking, really.
We can't leave you out here. Can't leave you out here, mate. One, you've got no life jacket, you've got no safety gear. If that happens, it's on us now. So
it's always a crazy time. By the end of the summer, you're exhausted.
Right, we're there a minute, mate.
The only respite we get is some rain, which, you know, sometimes the lifeguards pray for in the middle of summer because they just need a couple of days, you know, to actually relax a little bit.
Just 40 miles from central London, Southend-on-Sea is abuzz through the summer months, with waves of pleasure seekers coming to let off steam.
Southend comes alive in summer. We have coachloads of people coming down. Some of them even want to sit on the beach while it's raining and have their picnic.
You get all walks of life of people coming from everywhere. They just don't appreciate the fact that it's not always golden beaches and suntans.
With so many people taking to the water, Southend is Britain's 3rd busiest lifeboat station. And the main reason for that is the dramatic tides, which catch people out all year round.
The tides do move very fast. You know, you think that it's right out and you're going to be OK, but within minutes, the tide could be around your feet.
They just don't appreciate how quickly the tide can come in and how, like, the tide doesn't get tired, but you do. Unless you're some kind of athlete who can run across mud, you'll never outrun it.
To ensure they're ready for action, whether the tide is in or out, the Southend crew can launch from either end of their mile-long pier. And unlike most stations, they have crews who volunteer to be on duty at the boathouses every weekend, giving them the best possible head start when a call does come in.
Sometimes you get 5 or 6 jobs in a day and you'll be rushed off your feet. Other times you'll sit here all weekend and nothing will happen.
What do you guys do to keep busy?
Tea.
Yeah, tea.
Tea, a bit of telly. We got plenty of jobs that we do. Run through all the kit on the boats, keeping it all clean as well.
Yeah, and we clean the boathouse, you know, keep it all looking spick and span.
A hot Saturday in June. The Southend crew receive a call from the Coast Guard. A family with 3 young children visiting a local landmark have been caught out by the tide.
We were told that the casualties were by the Mulberry Harbour, which is a popular spot at Southend.
Southend's Mulberry Harbour, the remains of a floating harbour constructed during the Second World War, has become an attraction for hundreds of visitors every year.
It was towed out back in the Second World War, and it broke in half and sank, and it stayed there. And the public like to walk off and climb on it, and it's got quite a deep pool of water around it, so they jump off and swim.
At low tide, The Mulberry Harbour's a pleasant mile-long walk out across the sand. But when the waters return, there's no way back.
They don't appreciate the fact that the tide comes in behind them and cuts them off from the shore. And you could be going from a perfectly happy day to serious trouble.
Dover Coast Guard, Southend hovercraft, Southend hovercraft, over.
From either end of the pier, a hovercraft and a D-class inshore lifeboat are launched.
The danger for the family was that they were with two particularly small children, and knowing the local area like we do, we knew that they weren't going to get back to shore safely without our assistance.
The currents can be 5-6 mile an hour, which will basically just take them away.
You know that they may well be off the bottom already, and they could well be treading water when you get there, so you know you have to move fairly quickly.
The crews head for the area where the family was last seen.
I was concerned that they may try and make their own way ashore through what I know to be some considerably deep gullies, and it would have been above their heads, and we just worried about them getting washed away, really.
Can you see anyone?
Small children are very vulnerable in the sea. There's just not enough strength, not against the water. It doesn't take a lot for them to panic.
Within minutes of launch, a group of figures is spotted.
Yeah, coming, not sure what. Sorry guys. It's all right.
Dover Coast Guard, Southend RB2, Southend RB2.
We're around there about 15 minutes, turn round and it was just seen. That's all right.
The family of 5 have been fortunate. As they tried to wade back from the Mulberry Harbour, a passing kayaker, realising the danger they were in, stopped and took the 2 younger children on board to keep them safe.
Do you want to pass the kids up? Yeah.
They were lucky they came across the canoeists, because otherwise they'd have had to carry the children, and obviously 2 adults carrying 2 children puts a far bigger burden on yourself. And walking across mud with an incoming tide behind you, I think panic would have set in a lot more, and they could have been in a lot more trouble.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry guys.
That's all right, it's not a problem.
I feel like such a prat. Oh my God. Yeah.
The rescued family are Southend locals, Sally and James, and their 3 boys.
Nice big donation coming up for you boys, I can tell you. I'm so sorry to drag you out here.
Well, we get a visit from the hovercraft in a second as well.
Oh, you're joking? No, the hovercraft's coming for us.
We were absolutely mortified. Growing up on a beach, you see these things happen all the time, and you look at people and go, look at those idiots. What have they done? They've got themselves trapped. And there's us, a family of 5, doing exactly what we would have laughed about on the beach, or, you know, been tutting and waving our fingers about.
It's all right. No, it's not. It's so stupid. We're at the station anyway. We were getting bored anyway, to be honest. We were doing cleaning and stuff. Yeah.
The day had started as a summer outing to the beach.
We'd been sitting on the sand for about 5 or 10 minutes, and Jake, my 14-year-old, stood up and turned round and said, "Dad, I think we're in trouble." We all stood up, turned round and realised that there was no sand left. It was 1.5 miles of sea to get back to the shore.
We started walking back, and it wasn't until we were actually in the water, it got deeper and deeper, and all of a sudden it was hip height, which is chest height on Oscar. And that was the point when we started panicking, really.
I can't believe how quick that come in, though. That was right. And we were talking, we were sitting there, then all of a sudden it just went whoosh and came in.
The problem is where you are by the Phoenix unit, it's really high.
Yeah.
Really, really high. And it's coming all the way across here behind you, and it's still dry there.
Yeah.
But by the time you notice and come back, you murk, as you saw.
Exactly.
Up to chest deep in water.
Exactly.
The instinctive dad mode in that position would have been, I can save everybody. and it's all going to be fine. But when we realised how fast the tide was coming in, you could actually feel the pressure of the water against your legs. That's when I really realised that we were in trouble.
All of a sudden, all these things start going through your mind where you're like, we've brought our children into this really dangerous situation, and how do we get out of it? It's every parent's nightmare.
The family had checked the tide times, but they're not always 100% accurate, and tide heights can fluctuate dramatically.
The tide on the day, because we were checking it while we were at the boathouse, was actually half a metre above prediction anyway, and it was coming in earlier than they thought. Even the most experienced people can get caught out by things like that.
We had a laugh and a joke about it with the kids and the parents, you know, saying everything's fine now. You know, we could understand their mistakes, and we went back to the station with smiles and grins.
Thank you so much.
All right, no problem, that's what we're here for.
Sorry.
Come on, little man, give us your hands. Jump.
I learned so much about the tidal system that day. I actually got home and Googled it so much, I feel like I'm quite an expert now.
Cheers, mate, thank you.
I know that people always think it would never happen to them, but it happened to us, and it was petrifying. And it doesn't matter how much homework you do or you think you've done, it's never quite enough.
Knowledge and experience are vital assets for anyone taking to the seas around Britain. But if you've got what it takes and can commit to the training, you can join a lifeboat crew as young as 17. The seaside resort of Newquay on Wales' spectacular Cardigan Bay is home to 18-year-old rookie Ollie.
I think it's fairly cool when you walk around with the pager. Everyone's kind of staring at you a bit, or you hear the occasional, oh, he's in the lifeboat, or when the pager goes off and you're running up the street and it's going off, everyone's like, oh, look at him go.
When he's not saving lives at sea, Ollie works alongside his mum, Karina, in the family shop overlooking the harbour.
Cappuccino, regular one?
Yeah, regular. Sure thing.
OK, $2.25 then, please.
Yeah, it's fairly seasonal. Thanks. But in the summer, obviously, it picks up quite a lot, and it's round down here most of the time, so it's good.
If there's a big long queue and ice cream and his pager goes off, sometimes I think he's fixed it just so he can skedaddle on a really busy day.
Nah, usually they're pretty cool about covering me while I've got a shout, so it works quite well. She's a good boss. She can be harsh at times, but she's not too bad at all. My father was in the Coast Guard, so he's always tried to drill it into me that it's a good thing to do for the community. And I've just always loved the RNLI since I was a young boy. Watching the boat go out, it's been quite exciting, so it'd be nice to join. I thought that's a great idea, so I joined up.
In the winter months, if it's windy outside and it's dark and raining and his pager goes off, that's the time I really worry. Yeah. I never go to sleep until he's home.
Not everyone wants to be on a boat at 2 in the morning in the cold, in the waves, with it raining down on you, but you deal with it, you get on with it, because, you know, you've got something important to do.
In his short career so far, Ollie's already racked up a fair bit of experience. Cardigan Bay's cliff-lined coast and dramatic tides keep the lifeboat crews busy.
I think for a lot of people it's quite a novelty to come down and see the sea. I think they think of it as quite a large swimming pool, so they don't really understand the dangers.
The coastline's quite steep cliffs, lots of shingly beaches which shelve away quite sharply, so there's quite deep water close to the shore. The cliffs can be quite hazardous if people get cut off by the tide and start to climb.
People walk across like a tidal path thinking it's fine, but before you know it, you're trapped in this little cove.
On a warm July afternoon, a call comes in from the Coast Guard.
I think I was just serving someone ice cream as it went off, so I kind of threw the scoop down and was like, can you cover this? I gotta go.
2 young girls have gone missing while out walking their dogs. Both Newquay and the Aberystwyth lifeboat station 20 miles up the coast prepare to launch.
When you hear it's children, I think it is a bit more scary, a bit more worrying for us. Because, you know, no one wants anything to happen to children.
When you hear a young child's in distress, you do react differently.
They don't have the experience that adults have, so you will always kind of react a bit faster and kind of be a bit more keen to kind of get there to help them.
If I was that age, I definitely would panic. It would be a scary situation to be in. I wouldn't like to be in it at all.
The 12-year-old girls set out for their walk over 2 hours ago. No one knows where they are now. With a search area of 10 miles of coastline, both the Newquay inshore lifeboat and Aberystwyth's larger Atlantic 85 are deployed at the same time.
So we headed up the coast while Aberystwyth lifeboat came down. We were going to meet, halfway eventually.
The Atlantic is very fast. It's a very good search and rescue platform, and it has quite a lot of equipment on it. The D-class is quite small, flat bottom thing as well, so it's quite good for picking people up close inshore. So quite good to have two different types of boat working on a job like that.
Both crews are heading towards the area near where the girls were last seen, scanning the coastline as they go.
We get training on how to search, and basically the idea is you kind of do this thing called sweep, focus, sweep. You do it in kind of 15-degree arcs. The idea is you're moving your whole head instead of your eyes, because you can pick out detail a little better than if you're not looking at it directly.
I suppose it's always quite tense to think, where are they? If you can't see them, I think the longer it goes, the further it goes up the coast, you're thinking, oh, where are they then? Have we missed them? Should we go back? Should we check? But you just got to go on until you find them.
The two missing girls have been staying in a local caravan park with their families. 2 hours after setting off with their dogs, one of the girls called her dad to say they were lost.
Alarm bells start thinking, where have you gone? Oh, we've walked down the coast. Right, towards Aberystwyth. They said no, the other way, and that's the way we've always said, don't go that way, because we've never been down there. Never go around that corner. When they said, the water's coming in, we're starting to get worried. I said, well, how much is it coming in? It's up to our knees. So, of course, you start panicking.
You don't want to think the worst case scenario, but you try and stay positive. You think, right, okay, what can I do to save these girls? What can we do as a team? And you try and tackle that problem as quickly as possible.
It's the helplessness, being stuck there without being able to do anything. You see telly, don't you? See what happens, and people get cut off, and the tide's coming in, they're clinging onto the last bit of rock. And when she said she was up to her knees, you're just thinking, well, what's she going to do? Is she going to try and climb the cliff?
With the tide still rising, there's a danger the girls could find themselves with no more beach to stand on.
If they'd panicked and started climbing the cliffs, things could have gone really badly wrong, really quickly. The shale and shingle and mud that the cliffs are made up of is really quite dangerous to climb.
"20 minutes after receiving the call, the Aberystwyth crew are first to spot some figures on the shoreline.
Gemma, just confirm I'm Aberystwyth.
But there's a problem. Their larger lifeboat can't navigate through the shallow water to the shore.
We have to be cautious not going too close to rocks, because there's a chance of the fiberglass hull being damaged. So we nudged in as close as we can comfortably.
With the boat unable to get closer than 30 metres to the beach, and the Newquay inshore lifeboat still 10 minutes away, Sam only has one option.
Hey guys, I'm Sam. You not hurt any of you, are you?
Scratched a bit.
Okay. Where have you scratched yourself, lad?
There.
When I got across to them, they seemed relieved, but I think they seemed quite quiet and shy. So I just sat in, introduced myself and tried to put them at ease.
No. Right. What's going to happen is we're going to put some life jackets on you, and you're going to get extracted off probably when Newquay lifeboat turns up. She's a little one.
The girls had started to clamber up onto the rocks. Though subdued, they're unharmed.
When we saw how young they were, it was clear that that was the reason that the Coast Guard had said they were as frightened as they were. So we were pleased that we were able to find them quickly to reassure them, and let them know it was okay and get them home safely.
Yeah, do you want to talk to my dad? Just to talk to him.
Yeah, sure. Wait one. Hello, sir. I'm from Aberystwyth Lifeboat. Nuki Lifeboat is coming as well.
While the crew wait for the smaller boat to arrive, Sam confirms to Martin that his daughter and her friend are in safe hands.
Well, the tide's coming and it's getting a bit tight. We're going to extract for their safety. And then we'll get them down deposit somewhere a bit safer.
When the lifeboat man actually spoke to me on the phone, said, oh, you know, we got them, we're bringing them back and everything's fine. Yeah, you just think, oh. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a great emotional guy, but yeah, deep down you're feeling, thank God for that. Yeah.
There you go. Door-to-door service.
When 12-year-old Sarah and her friends set off earlier that day, they thought a different route would make a nice change.
Oh, brilliant.
My parents told us not to go around the corner, but we just wanted to adventure, really, because we didn't go past the corner before, but the sea was kind of going out while we went.
2 hours later, the girls realised they'd run out of path. Then the tide started rising around them.
Where we were, it was crashing on the stones, and we didn't know if it was going to come in quickly. It felt scary that I didn't know where I was. We were starting to panic a bit. We did feel that the water was coming in, but we didn't really know what was going to happen. When we saw the first lifeboat, we were relieved and happy that we phoned the RNLI. It's a nice feeling hearing someone saying it's safe.
Take my hand if you want. Nice and slowly.
I think if the conditions weren't like they were, it could have been worse. I think we got them at the right time. I think they called at the right time as well.
The shoes will be on the radiators. There you go, well done, guys.
I'm really impressed, yeah, to just say, right, we're scared, let's phone. It's the best thing they could have done. Because, yeah, the stories are out there and people do die, don't they? So, yeah, no, I'm ever so glad.
Always nice to have a nice, happy outcome on a sunny day. 2 lovely young ladies and 2 lovely dogs.
On Portsea Island off the coast of Hampshire, Portsmouth is the UK's only island city. The Romans used its sheltered harbour to ward off pirates, and the British Navy have had a base here for over 1,000 years. Today, these waters remain a hive of activity. Last year, the lifeboat station here responded to over 100 incidents.
We're getting launched to a real variety of things, so broken down boats, sinking boats, kite surfers, windsurfers, capsized dinghies, all sorts of things.
Like all crews, the team here train regularly for every eventuality. On a summer evening session, they're interrupted by an unexpected visitor shouting for help.
We just recovered the boats when a member of the public entered the station saying, oh, my wife and kid and friends stuck on the mud round the back of the lifeboat station.
3 kayakers, 1 a young girl, are completely stuck in Langstone Harbour. At high tide, the area's full of water. At low tide, it becomes a vast, oozing lake of mud. It's 9 p.m. and the light's fading, and there's no deep water close enough to get a lifeboat to them.
Well, they're just round here. You know the bit of water there? Yeah. That's going to be drying in another 20 minutes' time. The problem is they're on the island just behind there. If you go round there, you've got 300 yards of mud before you even get to them. They're all together now. It's quite solid where they are. So where they're going to go from now, I don't know.
The Portsmouth station is kitted out with thousands of pounds worth of state-of-the-art life-saving kit. But when a mud call comes in, there's one special tool they've been using for years that's perfectly suited to the job.
They refer to me as the mud man on station.
Pete's relationship with mud, he's rather partial to it. He rather enjoys going on a mud job if there is one.
Probably one of the biggest guys on station, but I have the ability and a bit of knowledge on walking on mud.
You all right?
When you hear there's 3 people stuck in the mud, your mind can go crazy. Are they stuck? To what depth are they stuck? Are they on kayaks? If they're on kayaks or a board of some description, that's a relief because they're on something safe, they're on a safe platform.
Pete and his crewmate Neil need to pick their way through hundreds of meters of mud and silt deposited by tides. In places, mud flats can suck in the unwary like quicksand. And if either of them get both feet stuck above the ankle, they could soon be as helpless as the casualties themselves.
I have, in the past, walked through mud only a foot deep to then suddenly take one step forward and lose my whole leg into a soft mud hole.
What you do is stay away from these. Then the mooring blocks will be soft all the way around them.
Knowing that area very well, I knew some places the mud can be knee, even thigh deep.
You're right. Stay the lead.
He kind of has developed his techniques over years and then knows exactly, where to go and how to do that. So he's our kind of secret weapon when it comes to the mud.
You stay there, guys.
The mud goes back to when I was a child. Used to do a lot of cockling, winkling, and digging bait as a child as pocket money. So, yeah, it goes back quite a few years.
So it gets tricky, mate.
After 5 minutes, Pete and Neil decide on a change of strategy.
You do fall over, you do end up crawling. On occasions, you end up swimming on the mud because you need to put your whole body weight there. I was quite out of breath. It is a task. It is a grueling, heavy task. But it's a case of just getting through it and pretty much just knowing your abilities, knowing when to stop and take a breather, and then when to push on.
It's not the most pleasant smelling of mud. It's not like having a mud pack in a spa, that's for sure.
Pete and Neil crawl through the mud for 10 minutes before they finally reach the casualties.
Right, folks.
I believe the casualties done the right thing in staying where they were with the kayaks. If they attempted to get off the kayaks and walk back, the mud would have been too deep for them to get anywhere. The mud can be so unpredictable and very dangerous.
Confirm we have 2 adults and 1 child of 9 years old. We're going to keep that individual in the kayak dry. Over.
The young girl was getting cold and was frightened.
That's it.
But just reassured her that she was safe and well, that she didn't have to get off the kayak and we're going to pull her back to the safety of the shore.
OK, don't be afraid, will you? OK, you're nice and safe in there, look.
As the light continues to fade, the only way out is the way they came in, but this time with 2 kayaks.
In this situation, to get those casualties back, it was 90% brute force. Not much skill involved. Very hard work. It definitely took the wind out of my sails.
Right, we're going to follow them as soon as I've got my breath back.
Oh, that's all right.
If I can push you.
Halfway back to shore, Pete and Neil finally get reinforcements.
They came out to an area where the mud was still soft but not dangerously deep.
It's 4 of us now. 2 behind each one. In your own time as a pair, just push. No rope. Give that a go.
The less people in those conditions, the better. But they were there to help us towards the end, of which was much welcome because we were getting very tired at that point.
After half an hour of lugging the kayaks back through the mud, the casualties' ordeal is over, as is Pete.
Portsmouth RNLI mobile. Confirm all casualties, all crew members safely ashore. Over.
This situation could have been a lot worse. If they stayed put, they would have got very cold.
and if they attempted to come ashore, things could have been a lot different.
Oh, exasperated.
To get them out as quickly as they did was really good teamwork, and you know, they did a really good job.
Let's go for a swim, not really.
There are times you do think to yourself, why? Why? Especially when you come out of it and you look at yourself and you have to get yourself hosed down. So much thick mud that stays in every crevice for weeks. Ears, fingernails, nostrils. The mud in Langston, it really does stink.
Along the coast from Portsmouth, and just a few miles from the hustle and bustle of Brighton, is the more sedate town of Shoreham by sea. Population 20,000, nightclubs none. But once a year, in the summer, this sleepy town almost trebles in size as 35,000 fans descend for the Wildlife Music Festival.
When the festival's on, you see just an influx of people jumping off the train, coming down from all parts of the country. People who haven't been around Shoreham before, don't know the local area.
2 days, people of all ages, the town, it gets manic. It's definitely a different place during wildlife.
Saturday night on the weekend of the festival, a call comes in from the Coast Guard.
I was in bed when the pager went off that night.
I was fast asleep. It's like 1 a.m. in the morning, something silly like that.
I knew the festival was on at the time, because I could hear it still. So I had a good idea that it was going to be something to do with that.
A festival goer has jumped off a bridge and into the Ada, a fast-flowing tidal river that runs through the town.
You're thinking in your head, oh, how much have they had to drink? I mean, how long have they been in the water for? What sort of state are they going to be in when you get them?
Obviously, people have been drinking. They've got less awareness. They don't necessarily know the dangers that they're going to be facing.
When you've been drinking, it can reduce your chances of survival in the water. You never know how long someone's going to be able to keep themselves afloat for.
They're running out of time. You know, we've really got to get to that person as soon as we can.
The man is believed to be a mile upstream from the sea, but his exact whereabouts are unknown.
They were drifting with the outgoing tide. That person can only swim, fight for so long, you know, and that tide will take them quite quickly, hundreds of yards away from where they were initially reported.
And at night time, with limited visibility, finding a body in water moving this fast requires extra concentration.
As soon as you get into that river, you need to have your eyes up, you need to have lights up, because information can be misleading, so we don't know where he's going to be, really. It's really hard to spot somebody in the water in the daylight, let alone in the dark. So you've got to be wary of your speed, wary of where you actually think they're going to be, and then just got to keep a really sharp eye out.
Moments after launching, the crew receive an update from the Coast Guard.
Obviously, you've got to remain positive that you're going to find him. But a lot of them scenarios where they do go under the water, they don't get found.
Your heart sinks when you hear that someone's head has gone under, because it can very easily turn into a search for a body.
You kind of got to know your local surroundings, where you think he's going to pop up. Because at the end of the day, we're not a submarine. We can't look under the water. So we're thinking of places where he might pop up, and we really need to sort of get a move on, get there.
20 minutes after receiving the call, the crew notice activity near the bridge where the casualty was last seen.
When we arrived at the ferry bridge, we saw somebody waving a torch on the top of the bridge because they'd actually spotted the guy in the water. And as soon as we made our approach to him, they lit him up for us.
There we go, just there.
It looked like he was pretty close to going underwater.
Right, OK. You got it, Chrissy? Which side? Which side, Chrissy? Port side. Port side. So I'll shine them up, OK? Yeah, okay. 3 metres.
Chap was really tired, really tired. He was swimming quite lethargically. Yeah, looked quite distressed, poor chap.
OK, 1, 2, 3, go! You on, mate?
When you are in the moment, pulling in a casualty feels like lifting a feather off the floor. It's so easy. There is no weight as such. You just want them in the boat.
Down to the boathouse! Yeah, tell the ambulance to go to the boathouse. You on, mate? Just sit down. Break out that. How you doing? You cold? Yeah.
The casualty looked drunk. I don't really think he knew what was going on, to be honest with you.
Shoreham boathouse, Shoreham RV, yeah, ambulance on the way to you. We've got a casualty on board, over.
He was quite confused. He was asking to go to sleep. I think he thought he was having a great time in the river, but he didn't realise the dangers he was in.
He just wanted to go to bed, to be honest, like we all do when we've had a night out.
Put his head up.
We wanted to keep him upright and we wanted to keep him talking, keep him conscious, keep him talking to us, just in case it got to the point where he's going to drift in and out of consciousness.
I don't think he enjoyed the ride back that much, because it was a bit bumpy for him, but at the end of the day, he's the one who jumped in the river, so...
Coast Guard, Shoreham Boathouse for information. 1 person on board, Shoreham RV recovering up a Shoreham slip, over.
Can we get some blankets ready?
Really cold. Really cold. Oh no, we'll get you in the shower in a minute, fella. We'll get you in the shower, all right?
Paramedics are on their way. In the meantime, the crew need to get the casualty warmed up quickly.
He was still pretty intoxicated, so we've all had nights like that, and yeah, we just had a bit of a laugh about it, really. No, we knew he was safe.
Did you jump in then, mate, did you? Did you jump in?
Which way we go? Thought it was a good idea, a bit of wildlife.
Why not, eh?
Took me a night off, eh?
People go out and have fun. Inadvertently, they do silly things. Yeah, it happens.
I'll stay here for a minute. Stay here for a minute and we'll help you out, all right? Wait till we get where stop. We'll help you out.
He was just like your standard drunk guy, but a lot wetter.
The paramedics arrive at the boathouse. After a quick assessment, the diagnosis is that what this man really needs is a warm shower and a good night's sleep.
That sort of shout could have ended quite badly for him, for his family as well. If he'd have gone under the water, then we would have struggled to find him.
It's a good job, a good outcome. You know, you've made a difference to somebody's life. At the end of the day, you've made a difference.
That is a good feeling when you do bring someone back like that. Not a great feeling the next day when you've got to crack on and go to work, but it's, yeah, it's something, I suppose.
Show me your other hand.
When you see somebody face down in the water, you immediately think worst case scenario.
Right, first I'll take the dog.
He was balancing on the bottom one like a tightrope, and he was holding on to a dog with one hand as well.
You all right, fella?
He's splitting.
OK.
In the grand scheme of things, against an angle grinder, you could say he got off lightly.